What is up, guys? Welcome back to Rip City Rundown on the Peak Reacts YouTube channel. And today, I'm not doing a podcast or anything. I'm just going to discuss the move that the Portland Trail Blazers and Toronto Raptors completed yesterday, where the Blazers received Norman Powell and sent to Toronto Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. And I'm going to give you guys my reaction to that, my thoughts, how I think it changes the Blazers season. I'll give you a little thoughts from the Raptors perspective as well. But it's really just going to be from the Blazers perspective, as obviously this is the Blazers podcast. So if you're coming from the Instagram, thank you for being here. I would subscribe. I would ask you to do that. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, maybe by playoff time or something. I'll probably try to start being more consistent with the videos, all Blazer themed, especially during the Blazers season. The Blazers received Norman Powell and gave up Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. And I'm going to start off by just saying, when I first saw this news, my heart kind of dropped because over the past 2 seasons, watching Gary Trent Jr.'s growth as a player has just been incredible to see. He went from a guy that was a second-round pick funny story, I actually I don't know what draft it was. It was the Simons draft, so I think like 2017, maybe 2018, if I remember correctly. 2017, we had the 24th pick, and I was like, I want Gary Trent Jr. there because I had watched a lot of ACC basketball, watched a lot of North Carolina Duke basketball, and Gary Trent Jr. was a really good player for Duke. So I was like, I really want Gary Trent Jr. with this 24th pick. Wasn't mad at the Simons pick. I saw the upside with him, but I was like, damn, I kind of wanted Gary Trent Jr. And I ended up not watching the rest of the draft, and next morning I see we picked up Gary Trent Jr. in the second round. I'm like, oh, that's a great pickup for the second round. Why did he go so late? I mean, it just turned out he just fell a little bit. He wasn't even projected to go high. Just by what I saw, I was like, I want him. I think he can be a good shooter for us. I didn't know he had what he brought to the Blazers a couple years later, but I wanted him. And obviously that bubble run last year would not have happened without him. Ended up getting his jersey. So I just become a really big Gary Trent Jr. fan. So I wish him nothing but the best in Toronto. And Toronto might have to be my second favorite team, my favorite team out east now, because they got Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. And Rodney Hood has had his moments with the Blazers as well. I mean, obviously he was a beast last year before his injury, and he hasn't been the same since that. But, I mean, we probably might have not beaten the Nuggets in the 7-game series if it wasn't for Rodney Hood hitting that shot in that fourth overtime in Game 3. So, I mean, both of these guys, huge parts of Blazer history, even though they both only were here for about Rodney for like 2.5 years and Gary for 3 or 4, I think 3. So that was just, I didn't want to trade Gary today, but I am not mad at the move, and I'm excited for this future for the Blazers. We'll pick up Norman Powell. Powell is 28 years old. He was going to turn 28 in May, so he's entering his prime just now. And he has been extremely underrated for the past couple years and really broke out this year. He's averaging 19 per game, and then in the games he started this year, he's averaging, I think it's like 23 points per game. And, I mean, like, he is one of the best shooters in the league right now. Of guys that have hit at least 200 threes, he is second in the league. So he is not someone that is just some guy that's going to come in and just catch and shoot. Like, he's going to be an elite offensive player for us. He's very underrated. He started 26 of the games this year, and throughout his time, he's mostly been a role player, but obviously he's really stepped it up this year. It's yet to know if he's going to be a starter for us, and I don't know if he's making his debut tonight versus the Magic or if it'll wait. He's still questionable with travel logistics. But despite being only 6'3", he's got I think like a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan. So if he needed to play the 3, he can definitely run some 3 for the Blazers and possibly start and move Derrick Jones Jr. or someone to the bench. Powell could definitely guard opposing defenders. He's a better defender than Gary Trent Jr., if we're being honest. He doesn't have I'm not saying he's not a gritty player, but he doesn't have that tenacity that we've seen from Gary. And maybe he does, and I just don't know enough about him. I would love for if any Raptors fans are watching this, comment what you know about Norman Powell's defense. But I do know he's an above-average defender. So it'll be interesting to see if he slots in at the starting 3 or will come off the bench for us. Obviously, first man off the bench. But I think no matter what, he's going to be playing 30 minutes a night. I think when the team is completely healthy, you're going to have Dame, CJ. You're going to have 2 of Dame, CJ, Powell on the court of all times, and that's scary for defenses because you just got 3 guys that can go out and get you buckets no matter what, and 2 of them most likely will always be on the floor. But I expect him no matter what to get 30 minutes a night, at least that, and then obviously playoff time, rotations get shortened. He's going to be a really big player for us down the stretch. Now, it's been very mixed emotions, mixed feelings on this trade from the NBA community. One thing that a lot of people are saying is like Gary Trent Jr. is younger. Maybe Powell's a little bit better right now. I mean, he's better right now, but maybe Powell's not that much better than him. And while that's true, and I'm going to say this, both players could be a free agent next year. That's the scary part. Everyone's saying, well, the Blazers had to trade Gary Trent Jr. because they weren't going to be able to pay him in the offseason. While that could be true, we've just found ourselves another situation with Powell, and he could end up making more than Gary in the offseason. He's got an $11 million player option that he's obviously, he should. Maybe he doesn't. He probably will decline, but I think we'll still have his bird rights going into free agency. But we'll have to make a decision on him in free agency because just like with Gary Trent Jr., we're not avoiding any decision in free agency with the trade. So that is a little scary. Hopefully he wants to stay. He sees the potential with this team, especially this year. Hopefully we can make a little run. We most likely probably determined that we wanted to pay Powell whatever he wants rather than whatever he wants, just because Powell's proven. I'm not saying Gary Trent Jr. is not proven, but Powell's definitely better than Gary Trent Jr. at the moment. Powell can definitely get you buckets better than Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. is definitely better at, or not technically better, Gary Trent Jr. His strength is spot-up shooting and getting those kick and shoots, but he's not a bad ISO player, but he's obviously struggled a bit isolation, and Powell's the opposite. He's very good on isolation. The Blazers have gotta love what Powell's been doing, especially in the month of March. He's averaged 26 points a game in the month of March, and he's shooting 54%. So this is not a guy that is just gonna come in like Rodney Hood a couple years ago, where he's just gonna hit some shots for us and hopefully turn into a player that we want him to be down the stretch. This guy's proven this guy's going to go out and score the ball, and he's a very plus defender. So, I like the trade. I was kind of hoping we would sit pat at the deadline once I saw we were out of the Aaron Gordon sweepstakes, because I would have loved Aaron Gordon just because obviously this move that we made doesn't technically fix our glaring needs, which is defense. Obviously anything that has to do with defense, whether that's the big man defense, whether that's on-ball defense, off-ball defense, perimeter defense, whatever. We needed defense, and Aaron Gordon would have brought that. Not saying Powell's not a bad defender. Again, he is a plus defender, but Aaron Gordon would have brought that to another level. But for the package that Aaron Gordon, what he was traded for, and the fact that we already traded picks for Robert Covington, I'm glad we didn't trade any picks. I like that we still were aggressive, and Olshey is always looking to make this team better. But this will be a test for the Blazers, because if this doesn't work out, Olshey will get a little bit of heat for us, because obviously you traded a fan favorite in Gary Trent Jr., and even Rodney Hood is a fan favorite. The thing about Portland and their fans is just we are not like any other franchise where we don't care about our players. We treat our players like it sounds dumb, but we treat them like humans. That sounds like, why would other fans not do that? Other fans, you see Lakers fans, and they don't grow attachment to players. I'm not accusing any specific fans if you're a Laker fan out there, but it's just It's just kind of how it is. The Blazers grow attachment to all their players. Like, any player that leaves, you're just like, wow, I mean, that hurts. I want to see this guy win a championship for the Blazers. And Gary Trent Jr. was one of those guys, and even Rodney Hood. So, sucks to see them go. I wish them nothing but the best in Toronto. Hope they just absolutely go off. I think we play them on this road trip, possibly right after this game tonight. So, that'll be a little weird, seeing them already going against the Blazers. But, I mean, hey, it's nothing. It's a business in the end, and I'm glad we picked up Norman Powell. I can't wait to see him put on a Blazer jersey. Hopefully, he makes his debut tonight as I'm making this video. I'll check one last time. I don't think there's been a word on whether he is playing tonight or not. Last time I checked, he was still questionable. But I'm going to check one more time. And at the moment, he is still questionable. So, hope he makes his debut tonight. Would be a blast to see him on the court, especially, obviously, Dame's not playing tonight just because he's been banged up. But that's my reaction to the trade, and that's from a Blazer fan perspective. I like it for the Raptors, too. I'll just go a little bit in depth on them. I like it for them. They get younger with Gary Trent Jr. Now they can slot a starting backcourt solidified for their future. Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr., and then they also have guys like Pascal OG. So they've got a nice little young core there. And even without trading Lowry, I saw something, I think it was like CJ texted Kyle Lowry and was like, take good care of Gary Trent Jr. So these guys are still going to be boys. They're still going to be great friends. Wouldn't it be crazy if Gary Trent Jr. came back in free agency? I'm kidding. It's not going to happen. But I wish Gary Trent nothing but the best up north, as well as Rodney Hood. I feel like a lot of people are just thinking Rodney Hood's a throwaway piece in this. Rodney Hood is still a big part of Blazer history, and we will not forget him. So don't think that. It was just Gary Trent Jr. was obviously the main part of the trade. But good luck to Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood up in Toronto, and welcome Norman Powell. That'll be it for this video. Make sure to subscribe. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by maybe playoff time. I don't really know if that's possible, but anything is possible if you guys just subscribe. So that'll be it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.